Good morning. Today we're taking a look at XRP, the Bitcoin futures, some market cap liquidations and everything else along with the Sigma coin. All right, so here we go. So we've had a pretty aggressive drawdown here, which was something that I was concerned about for our price action here on XRP. And we have a little bit of different of a play out here. So the anticipation was that we would have a ABC to the downside. And we did. It just changed around on how it was set up here. So what we ended up getting after yesterday's video was a flat structure that ended up playing out. So the way a flat works is you end up having a five-wave move to the downside, an ABC up, an ABC down, and then we actually were able to squeeze for an additional 5 waves higher with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this led to the rollover of this being a wave 1 and 2 of the larger degree of this wave A. So right now we're currently working through this kind of like breakdown wave A completion. So this is actually going to move over, and this B will probably flop up here, and then we'll actually have more time for this price action to play out and kind of work through the market, because this is a longer kind of drawn out behavior here. So so things to note here on this flat is that we completed that as our wave 2, and now this is our wave 3, which will have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have an ABC up, and then this might cascade here all afternoon, getting us down to our first target and area of interest into the fair market value 618 and -2 deviation area that we've been tracking as this kind of moves through and filling this gap here. So now USD has already gone in and set a lower low here. Okay. The Koreans have not yet done that. So they are holding up on top of the higher low being shown here. Okay. So we'll be monitoring them, because as soon as they capitulate, kind of give us that lower level, then easily coming down into this region is likely, which is the equivalent of the 618 region that we're looking for. Okay. And then the market cap dominance has also capitulated. So we got 2 of the 3 have done it. So Korea is our last one that we're waiting for. So we'll see if they can kind of wick through and get that lower low. Once they do, I think that's the next leg for what we're looking for in the market. All this while Bitcoin futures has been turned off because of the weekend. So we don't have any movement here below 123. We will most likely end up forming a gap of some kind here in the start of the new week, and that will be ultimately when we come back to close. But when we go over and we look at the spot, we can see that we've already moved down to 121, and if this cascade carries through this weekend, it could definitely be quite a massive emotional destruction after having such a huge pull breakout. This gap and this gap are the 2 that I'm watching, and those would correspond with our XRP price action, where we would come down, close this gap, and then there might even be another gap down here that we could end up closing lower. So so this is kind of how the price action is playing thus far, and I think we're definitely going to see some capitulation here through the weekend, at least getting into this region of interest. And then that just may be it. If we're really lucky, we'll get down here. So remember, these dips are for buying. We are bullish. This is definitely looking great. And we do have an ability to march to the high $4 to $5 range. So in addition to that, the dominance was an intriguing thing that I wanted to show here. So XRP dominance, I've been watching this for a long time. I don't show it very frequently, but let's take a little look-see here. So we had a impulsive 5-wave move off the lows, a 5-wave down, ABC up, and then we have now a Y, X, and Z coming into play here. These Z legs tend to come in with an additional 5 waves down. So we have the ability for this to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come through here. And we never fully closed this gap here on the left. We had done a lot of chop through here, getting all of this, but then this was parabolic, and I've left this gap sitting here for a long time. But now, finally, we're starting to come down and get to this gap closure here. So if we have an overall market turn down and XRP performs poorly during that time, I could see this gap finally closing, giving us our equal 1-to-1 measurement at 4.25% for a larger ABC, and maybe even not even do this WXY structure, but just maybe a larger ABC setup. And then we can start closing down here, get this gap out of the way, and work our way off the lows. So so the fact that we're now actually getting there has been very intriguing, and that's what I'm thinking is going to be the final capitulation for the market here. In addition to this, Dom gave us this interesting XRP over oil, and we had this deviation outside the range here that we were looking, shot all the way to the top of the range, and now we're coming back into this. This triangle right here can sometimes go a little bit further than people think, so we can end up having a 5-wave count for a triangle. So we end up going here for the 5 waves, and we complete that. But this one ended up crossing, so it's making me think that we have a different play. But you could again see that even on this chart, we have a gap here at a couple locations. So we've got a gap right here for XRP, and we've got a gap right here for XRP. So we've got 2 right here in these regions that make me think that this corresponds with this chart and the dominance chart, both having gaps lower to have XRP underperform the market, lose market share, and ultimately close lower to the downside, giving us this gap region and even potentially this gap region both closed to the lower, giving us then the ability to complete this wave 2 correction. And then we're finally finished with this move, so we can start moving up into the positive $4, $5, $6 range for the next leg. So anyway, so that's kind of what I've been watching, monitoring, and this is, in my opinion, bullish, primarily due to these areas being for buying. So I did, now let's talk one more quick thing before we move on to the Sigma coin, is just kind of how to quickly view this. So last night, so anyway, so let's start with where my trade went. So we had the wedge pattern, we had a tap and a double tap. So I entered my short here, failed to put a stop loss in, got profitable, and then it shot back through, and I ended up being upside down into this whole move right through here. Got up to the top of the range, ended up taking and having to capitulate a loss through a portion of my down bet up here, and that's fine. And then we completed a 5-wave move down, so I've held that remaining of my short through here, all this. And then now with this section here, this is kind of how you end up trading it. So last night, these lines were that I identified a breakdown of a 5-wave to the downside for this liquid wick. Then we went back up into this region, and we started our 5-wave descent. So right about here, we came and tapped the low, keeping a higher low in place here. And I knew that ultimately, with this higher low, if we crossed back through this wave 1, we were going to then invalidate and continue onward. So what I did is I put my stop well above this level here at this setup here, and this morning was luckily able to cancel that. So that stop is gone. This invalidation level is no longer apparent, and we have now begun and continued our acceleration. And the anticipation is that this will continue to go down the mountain, and we'll have a very aggressive breakdown to at least close this level here in the next couple hours here through Saturday, Sunday. So it could even accelerate and give us something like that and be done through the end of the day today. So anyway, so that's how I mitigated my levels. So I'm now back in profit, regained all of the small portion that I took a loss on through here. And now I'm just waiting for this to get down to this region to finally close out, or at least put a tight stop, because these lows should not be crossed. So what you do is you end up chasing your stop loss down each level. So we say, okay, well, we don't want to go above that one. And then this moves down to here, and then this moves down to here, and this moves down to here, and so on and so forth, until your corrective structure comes into play. And then you watch to see how this plays, and then you can then turn around and short it back down the mountain again after you complete this gap close to here. So, all right, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So just getting ready to roll the stop from being way up here to right here, and then we'll just continue to chase it as it moves to the downside, ultimately looking for something in here for a close. So that's how I'm doing my quick short, and then I will be looking to buy a spot through this region, watch price action, maybe bail, and re-enter lower if we're so fortunate enough to get it. So, but maybe just a quick one too, and we're just done. So anyways, that's how we're looking at that portion of it. And finally, Sigma doing good here. We got good relative, depends on your perspective. So we had our capitulation whale, we had a massive community buyout, massive selling came back in to take it all back, a bounce, and then a lower low to here, but it ended up being a higher low overall. And now we just have accumulation through this region here with the price action. So I'm ultimately thinking that this level will hold. I think that was it. I don't think we'll have one more leg down. I mean, if we do, it won't be much, and it'll be a massive gift. I mean, the fact that this is on the third largest blockchain, one of the top 15 coins, and here we are sitting at 1 million market cap. Come on, that's ridiculous. So ultimately, this will be acquired, accumulated, and move forward. So I haven't lost faith. I'm just waiting for this short to close out, my spot longs to step back in again, and then I'll watch, of course, this lower level to then personally come in and grab another bag, because these prices are just crazy low. So so we'll just continue to watch, and hopefully we can ultimately work our way out of here. So that's what we're looking at for the whole market, and hopefully that helps just kind of give you a breakdown of this larger wave 1, 2, and then this will be our 3, 4, 5 into this region, and then we'll go back for an ABC, and then we'll see if we get that partner leg and how far down it gives us this play. So all right, hopefully that's helpful, and we will talk tomorrow.